Hi everyone, my name is Catherine and I am the engineering career coach at Lehigh's Career Center, and I'm going to be leading our first ever YouTube video today on a really important topic: internship and job searching during the time of the coronavirus. So the COVID-19 situation, it's on everyone's mind right now. It's impacting every part of our lives, including the internship and job search process. And I'm sure that some of you might be feeling kind of concerned with that right now, given the uncertain job market, the uncertain economic situation. Maybe your summer or your post-graduation plans have been canceled or changed, and that's all really valid, and it is for sure a challenging time that we're living in right now. But I do want to let you know that there is absolutely still hope, and there are still opportunities out there for you. You just need to be willing to put in a little extra effort and rethink some of the internship job search strategies you're utilizing, which is exactly what we're going to be talking about in this video: the top 7 tips to be implementing in your internship job search during the time of the coronavirus. So tip number 1 is to focus your attention on industries and companies that are staying stable or experiencing growth. So yes, it is true that some companies and industries have slowed down hiring or stopped hiring altogether for the time being. But there are definitely others that are proceeding as planned, or that actually have an increased demand for talent in these circumstances. So for those reasons, it's really important that you're targeting opportunities strategically based on industry trends. So according to Glassdoor economic research, some of the industries that are seeing a decline in job openings include food services, travel and tourism, and arts and entertainment. So it is unlikely that you'll be able to land opportunities within those industries at this time. And if that's where your interest lies, you can still do a little bit of searching. You never know, and there are a lot of individual differences between organizations, locations, etc. But it would also be in your best interest to expand what you're considering and veer outside into some other fields that are looking more promising right now, and where you can apply and you can gain those transferable kinds of skills. And then on the flip side, there are also, like I said, some industries that are really growing and that have an increase in job openings right now. So these include healthcare, of course, biotech, pharma, tech, finance, insurance. So those are some examples of really strong industries for you to be targeting in your search right now, because they have that high demand for talent. So again, strategy 1, focus your attention on industries that expect growth. And I shared some ideas about how to do that, but there's certainly a lot more industries out there than what I mentioned, and the situation is evolving really rapidly too. So it's important that you do your own research and you figure out how this applies to you and your individual goals, your individual situation. And I have included access info for a couple of different resources you can use for that at the end of this video and in the box below. All right, so moving on to tip number 2, employ multiple internship job search strategies. So this is something that's important at all times, but it's especially important with the current situation, that you're hitting your search from multiple different angles. So this means that you should be submitting applications through a variety of different online platforms. So definitely Handshake, but also company websites, maybe LinkedIn, other job boards that make sense for you. And you also absolutely have to be incorporating networking into your search and using a variety of different networking approaches too. So there's different online platforms, virtual event options, different types of networking connections you can be forming. And I'll talk to you more about some really great COVID specific networking strategies in just a couple of minutes. And then following up too, that's another strategy that I think is particularly important with the current circumstances. So there's so much uncertainty and chaos right now, and companies are going through some major transitions. So it is very likely that there will be delays in the hiring process, and that things like email communications, companies' adherence to timelines and things like that might fall through the cracks. So you want to be patient and understanding with companies for sure, but you also want to follow up and be persistent. Now is the time when you have to work a little bit harder to stay at the forefront of their mind. So show them that you're still excited, you're ready to move forward by sending some follow-up message to the people you've been in touch with at different companies and out in the industry. So again, tip number 2 is to employ multiple internship job search strategies. And research shows that people who use those multiple strategies I mentioned, so applying to a variety of different places, using multiple networking approaches, following up. So people who use several strategies like that are more likely to land an offer and to land an offer faster than those who only use one or two. And there is a great job and internship search guide available to Lehigh students on Handshake, which goes over this in more detail, and I included access info for that, like with the other resources I mentioned at the end of this video and in the box below. So check that out and use that to your advantage. All right, tip number 3, update your resume. We all know how critical the resume is to your internship or job search. It's your first introduction. It's your key opportunity to convince employers to interview you. But you do have a pretty limited amount of time to make an impression, with employers only spending about 6 to 10 seconds before deciding whether they want to continue reading the resume or eliminate the candidate from consideration. And then many companies are now also using software called applicant tracking systems, which screen through resumes for keywords. And that software might eliminate maybe 50% or more of candidates before your resume even reaches an actual human recruiter. So for all those reasons, your resume is super critical, and now is the time to revamp it. So highlight your unique accomplishments, make it industry, company, position specific, use the job description as your guide, and definitely use the resume resources that are available to Lehigh students through Handshake. And again, I have information about how you can access those resources at the end and below. We have all kinds of great resources for you guys at the Career Center. We have you covered. All right, tip number 4. Build a professional online presence. So you probably heard it before. Employers are looking you up online, especially once it gets down to the last few candidates. Employers, they'll Google you, they'll look you up on LinkedIn to learn more about you. And you need to make sure that what they're seeing is a positive representation of who you are. Because like I said, that really could make or break what their final decision is. I think that's particularly the case now in the coronavirus climate, where they have much more limited access to you in person too. So take this time to build up your professional online brand. So create and develop your LinkedIn profile, create and develop your Handshake profile. Employers will be looking for you in both places, especially again now with everything being remote and virtual. And then depending on your industry, you might also want to develop an online portfolio or a website of some sort that showcases your work too. So build up your professional online presence is tip number 4. That's something that's very important in the circumstances right now, and it's something that will continue to serve you into the future as well. And I think that's the case with all of these tips too. Yes, they'll help in your search during this unusual time we're in right now, but they'll also set you up well and continue to apply and help you out in the future too. So really important topics that we're talking about right now. Okay, tip number 5, cultivate professional connections. And this might actually be the most important tip that we're going to be talking about today, because networking, cultivating those professional connections is absolutely key when it comes to the internship job search. So studies estimate that between 70 and 80% of opportunities are found through some sort of networking. So while it is absolutely important that you have a strong resume, that you're applying online, and all those other pieces that we talked about, it is the networking that is most likely going to get you in the door for an interview and ultimately land you the position. And just because we're social distancing and we can't do the traditional in-person networking right now, like going to career fairs or conferences, things like that, it doesn't mean that we can't still network. Because with modern technology today, it is actually very easy to get connected and stay connected with people. You have to use the resources around you. And again, the Lehigh Career Center has you covered with that. So first, we have a great online mentorship platform called Lehigh Connects, which you can use to find and connect with alumni. So on there, we have about 3,000 Lehigh alum who've all agreed to provide career guidance and mentorship to current students. So you can log on to Lehigh Connects using your Lehigh username and password, and then you can search and filter to identify alum who work in your area of interest. And once you've found someone, you can send them a message, you can request a virtual meeting, you can request a phone call, all directly through the platform. So Lehigh Connects, it's a great tool. You definitely want to be incorporating that into your networking strategies right now. And then another tool you'll also want to use is LinkedIn. So LinkedIn has a very broad pool of potential people you can reach out to. You can use the filters on there, as well as join the Lehigh Alumni group on LinkedIn that we run through the Career Center. So using LinkedIn, another great networking strategy right now that can help you find people. And then there's also lots of great online forums and webinars and virtual employer events happening at this time too. So keep your eyes open for those. Try to join whatever you can. You might find out about them through the clubs and organizations you're involved in or your professional associations. And we have a lot of them posted on Handshake as well. I included information about how to find the events on Handshake, as well as information about Lehigh Connects and LinkedIn on the conclusion slide and in the box below too. And then the last thing I'll say about networking is don't forget about your existing connections. So this means your family, friends, professors, past coworkers, supervisors, people you already know and who already know you that can be very helpful in your internship or job search and who you can lean on for social connections at this time too. Right now what's happening in the world, it's a shared global experience. So now is a perfect opportunity to check in with people, see how they're doing, and strengthen your existing connections. All right, last tip number 7 is practice virtual interviewing. So like I said before, the majority of companies are changing their recruiting strategies to eliminate in-person interaction. So that means that your interviews will be virtual and you want to be prepared. So check out your space, make sure you have a nice professional background, make sure you have a secure connection, log into the technology in advance if you can to get kind of familiar with how to use it and make sure everything works. And also, make sure you have good lighting, a good angle, don't have your laptop tilted up like this. We live in the world of social media and selfies and now TikTok that is getting very popular. So use all of that expertise with how to take a good picture and take a good video and apply it to your digital interviews using those transferable skills. And then lastly, with virtual interviews, you want to use the virtual platform experience to your advantage too. So in a virtual setting, you have the advantage of putting your notes out in front of you, putting your resume out in front of you without the interviewer necessarily knowing. And depending on the technology, you might also be able to share your screen throughout the interview. So I would recommend that you have samples of your work available that you can display on the screen if there's opportunity and it makes sense based on your industry. And You have, the home-based advantage with digital interviewing as well, where you're taking it from the comfort of your own home rather than going to an unfamiliar place and traveling. So make all those benefits work for you. Get ready for your digital interviews. There's going to be a lot of those happening right now, and we have some fantastic blog posts on the Hire Lehigh blog about digital interviewing too, and that info is included again in the resource slide at the end and in the box below too. So that concludes the main tips I have for you about internship and job searching during COVID-19. And I'm going to be honest, the job market is very volatile right now, and landing a position at this time is probably going to be more difficult than under typical circumstances. But that doesn't mean that you shouldn't try, and it doesn't mean that you should give up. What it does mean is that now is the time to really elevate your focus on your career development and do everything you can to make yourself as marketable as possible. And we at the Lehigh Career Center are here to help you every step of the way, virtually now, of course, and you can read more about how to work with the Career Center during this time in an article that you'll see on the slide that comes right after this. So keep focused on your career goals and wash your hands, and we will get through this together. Thank you for listening.